Welcome to the Even Better podcast, where your host, Sinikka Waugh of Your Clear Next Step, brings you exciting content about making communities better by helping people get even better at work.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This is Sinikka Waugh with Your Clear Next Step, and we're here on the Even Better podcast, part of our ongoing mission to help people have better work days so that together we can co-create better communities. And I am delighted to have Matt Kieran with me today. Matt, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sinikka, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome. So Matt and I, for those of you who are listening and don't know Matt Kieran yet, you're going to get to hear more from Matt over the next several months and years, I imagine, and certainly the next half hour or so. I am delighted to have made Matt's acquaintance in these last several months. Matt is a business coach and a personal coach as well. And as I look through the way that he and I have connected through our coaching connections, the things that I have noticed about Matt and that I'm inspired by are his absolute willingness to help others live with passion and to bring the passion to the conversation and help people figure things out. He really has a true desire to help people. And what I'm seeing in his coaching practice, as well as this desire to help people change their lives. So he's got some stories, and Matt, I'm going to let you tell some of your stories about your background, but I know he lives here in central Iowa. I know that he is blissfully married and has a wife of 18 years and two daughters. And I know that they are social and active, and they get outside and do bike riding and traveling whenever possible. And Matt, I've appreciated the fact that on a faith connection, we also connect in that space as well. And I know that you are active in and contributing your time to your parish as well. And I'd love to, as you introduce yourself, perhaps maybe give us, our audience, just a little bit about how you came to choose to be a coach. How did that line of work strike you? Because that's not necessarily your original background.
No, it's certainly not. I found myself on a journey like most. We all walk a certain path. And up till about March of last year, I was walking a path of helping people just in different ways. And when I look back on my careers and what that looked like, it was always about helping people solve problems, regardless of what that was. Like many, in March of last year, I lost my job and I found myself at a crossroads. How do I want to spend my life? Was I living the best life I could lead? And was I making the world as good of a place as it could be as well, and helping others follow their path? So, I hired a career coach to kind of shake all that out for me and things like that. And believe it or not, coaching came pretty quickly to the surface. And, you kind of get that feeling inside like, oh, I've just stumbled upon something. This is how I can make that difference that I've been looking for now. And I've been making differences as I went, but it just wasn't as impactful as I wanted it to be. And, I found myself on this journey to become, a coach for men, to just help them through their lives. And research shows that, men for the most part experience some pretty big hurdles in a very short amount of time in their lives. I help men, on an average 28 to 45. And, they hit a lot of those milestones in their life. And I really wanted to be the man I needed 25 years ago. I wanted to be that guy like, okay, here's what you do. Don't do this. Please don't do that. Or yes, you should do more of this. So I got really excited, and I find myself here today owning my own business and encountering so many people that have offered so much great advice, and so many people that really need that help. And I hope in a small way I can contribute to that.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you. Among the things, and I know we've talked about this before, one of the things that has me just really thrilled to have you in my network and to know you and to be able to work with you is that you really are specializing in helping men. And there are people who specialize in helping business, or in helping business owners, or in helping people find their life purpose. But there are decidedly few who have stepped forward and have said, I want to help men be the best men that they can possibly be. And so I love that. And that's part of our topic today. And I want to just be really intentional, because we talked about this a little bit as well. I want to be intentional to our listeners that just as sometimes we produce podcasts that are, things that project managers wish their developers knew, and maybe you're not a software developer, but maybe you'll pick up a nugget. We've recorded ones that business owners get a lot out of, and maybe you're not a business owner, but there are things that you do own in your life. This one is going to be about the 5 realities of a man's life. And that doesn't mean that women shouldn't be listening. That doesn't mean that if you're not a man that you have no place here. We want you to listen to this, because I think in the conversation conversation that you and I were just having, there are insights that you might gain that you just hadn't thought about. And Matt's going to have this ability to put things in a new perspective. Is that fair, Matt?
Absolutely fair. As my coaching business grows with intention, I'm out to help men lead better lives. Men are needed in the world now more than ever. We just need to be better. Mm-hmm. We need, and we need to be honest with ourselves about what that looks like for ourselves personally, as well as what our communities and our families need from us as well. But, I'm finding pretty quickly that women are contacting me and saying, Matt, give me the insight. How can I better understand my relationship with my husband or significant other, or how does this work and things? And that's really exciting for me, because you start on this journey and you think, well, I'm going to help these people, but other people start to interact with you and like, wait a minute, this is helping men too, and then I get to help with relationships, because obviously it takes two to make that work. So a very exciting time. But yes, I hope that women, if you're listening, I'm going to give you some insight today, and I hope you enjoy it.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So the topic that you selected today, the 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live life at full volume. Let me just say that again. The 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live life at full volume. Now, you've chosen some of those words really carefully. You've got to tell me the story behind full volume.
Oh, it's funny. When we talked about doing our podcast, when I listen to podcasts, I'm kind of engaged about, really fun titles. And, it came to me, I'm a child of the 80s. And one of the 80s movies I watched and laughed consistently was Spinal Tap. And Spinal Tap was about this band who didn't really exist. And it's all about their adventures. Let me put it that way. And there's one part where it's like, well, I'm going to turn it all the way up. Like, well, why does it stop at 10? Why can't I go to 11? And I thought to myself, that's it, full volume, whether that's 10 or 11, guys, just live it, be out there, be who you want to be, and we're going to go through some things here too that are going to break some of that knowledge that you have about what it takes to be a man today. And you know what? We all want to live life at full volume. We all want to be happier and more successful. And success is different to other people. And we're going to kind of go through those, but that's where the title comes from. So
that's great. All right. So let's dive right on in. The first one. So again, this is the 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live life at full volume. First one is men's key hurdle. And so talk to us a little bit, that first one, there is the men's key hurdle is, how am I supposed to be the best at everything without asking for help? Wow. Okay. Unpack that for us, Matt.
It had to be number one. It's one of those things. And I think like any coach, you look back on your own history and things that you had and things that you didn't have. And, in a man's life, when he's a young man, you're learning to ride a bicycle, change a tire, do all these sorts of things too. Well, I remember my dad was a farmer. He was busy. I had to figure these things out on my own. And did I fail a lot? Oh, yeah. Now, the tire never fell off the car, but luckily. But, there are things like, gosh darn, but you're just kind of inadvertently taught, well, you don't ask a question. You're a man, you should know that already. Why don't you know that? And what's worse is that men don't ask questions. And then when you do want to ask one, society comes down on you and says, well, no, wait a minute. You're a man, don't you know? And then we're chastised for it. Well, then all we want to do is run and go, okay, well, I'm not going to ask another question again because that's the reaction I got. I'll just figure it out on my own. And what happens? Well, if you don't know, you don't know. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, some fairly big, and you don't have to. You don't. So, asking questions, asking for help is a key component to living a better life for men. For top notch, that is one of the things that we all have to learn how to do and be confident in it. Yes, I don't know. Okay, I'm asking you to help me. Will you do that? And when we exude that confidence, then I think we get a confident answer in return.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about in my own life, the way I've seen that modeled, or my dad knows everything and has always, it appears, known everything, right? And I know that he is kind and helpful and optimistic. And I'm not sure, as you're answering this, I'm not sure how many times I've watched him ask for help, but I know that he's a student of all things, and so he's constantly learning. And so there must be situations when he's asking for help, because his knowledge continues to grow. He's not just stopping in one place. And then I think about, in my generation, my brother and my friends, the places where, even something as simple as in the kitchen, when a male comes into the kitchen, and instead of just standing there, or instead of assuming that they know what to do, and then we women get a little weird sometimes in the kitchen about, you got to use this pan and you got to wash it this way, and you got to, load the dishwasher just this certain way. When they've taken the time to ask, I can think of a handful of examples at various gatherings, back when we could have friends over. Well, which way do you like to do this? Or how do you, and that inspires so much confidence in me. Like, I delight when they ask. Oh, I can see for sure we're not supposed to ask. Like, men don't ask for directions, but I can see for sure that we should.
And in asking too, it, like you said, and what a great example. It engages people in a new way, especially when your relationship. In our household, I do all the cooking. And yes, you wash the pans a certain way. And yes, you do all those sorts of things too. But like when our daughters, my oldest wanted to learn how to cook, you bet, come on in. And you get involved, and you get connected with people in ways that you didn't expect. Yeah. And that's what's fascinating, because if you're not asking questions about how to change a tire or directions, what else aren't you asking about? How do I become a better husband, a better father, a better leader in my community, in my household? How can I give advice to a friend that desperately needs it, but I won't ask a question to actually help him? Yeah. It leads down so many paths that affect so many different lives, specifically yours. And it is literally the key to opening that door and opening up part of life that men are ignoring and walking away from, and it has so much to give to themselves and to everyone.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's keep moving. The 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live life at full volume. So that first one is overcome that key hurdle. How am I supposed to be the best at everything without asking for help? You're not. You're supposed to ask. So there's that first message. So let's look at the second one. The societal norms. So you have it shared with us here. The societal norms. Everything you're being told is wrong. Okay, we better unpack that one a little bit. Everything you're being told is wrong. Sure. Help us out here.
Perhaps a little bit of an exaggeration, but it casts a big light on a big problem. The society that we all contribute to is sometimes viewed as a barometer for how we're doing. Okay, it's a measure of what type of a car does a man drive? How big of a house does he have? Does he have 2 homes? Does he take his wife and kids on fancy vacations? Does he have the corner office? And all of these things. Again, going back to number 1, well, I haven't asked any questions about how to get here, but this is what society deems that is success. That is successful. Okay. A lot of people don't want that. Why do you spend your life indoctrinated very early about what success is for a man, and then you spend half your life or more going after this fallacy that once I get to the top of the golden mountain and I've made all my money and I've got my fancy car and my 2 homes, what have you got? And in my research and research of others far more educated and accomplished than myself, have proven that the path that they follow is detrimental, is that you don't end up any happier than you were. You actually end up more depressed, further away from your relationships, from your family, from your children. And then you sit there at retirement age, no less, wondering, what did I do it all for? And now it's too late. So when I say everything you're being told is wrong from a societal standpoint in a lot of circles, that's true. Yeah. We have to literally, it's almost like breaking an addiction. We have to decide for ourselves what the norms need to be. We need to decide for ourselves, well, success to me is 2 more weeks off a year with my kids so I can take them to Disney World, or take my wife somewhere that I haven't done in 4 or 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. Okay. Society, the most valuable thing that any of us own ever is time.
Mm.
It's not money. Do you need it? Do you want the nice car in the driveway? Hey, who doesn't? That'd be great. Sure. But what did you pay for it? And I'm not talking about the money.
Yeah.
What did you pay? Everything has a cost. And sometimes we don't realize the cost until we've paid it and it's too late. You can't take it back.
For sure.
So society is one of those things that we have to definitely pick and choose about what we want to believe. And with social media at an all-time high and the pandemic adding to that consumption, we're believing things now and consuming things now at a rate that can be detrimental to one's view of the world and view of oneself.
Mm-hmm. I think about the work of Cy Wakeman, leadership guru out in the Omaha area. And one of the phrases that she uses that caught me off guard one time was, stop believing everything you think. And as I'm listening to you describe, well, we think that society says it's this, or society says we think that this must be it because society says, we think it must be the bigger car, the bigger house, the fancier whatever. We think that must be true because society says, and maybe this sort of, let's break that. Let's figure out what we really believe. What is it that we really at our core that we're really looking for? This is cool. Okay, so let's keep moving. 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live life at full volume. We're here with Matt Kieran. Men's key hurdle, which is the let's overcome the not being willing to ask for help. The second one was societal norms. Everything you're being told is wrong. We got to look at that in a new way. What is it that you're after? And then number 3, what is it to be a man today? So are we saying today, Matt, in spring of 2021? What do you mean? And what does it mean to be a man today? Help us.
Sure. So you can look at it a couple different ways. So today in society in general, today during the pandemic and such, my question's more focused on this day right now. Where do you see yourself at? And to be a man today is certainly different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You look at what your father, your grandfather, perhaps your great grandfather did, and how they filled their time in their day, and what it took and what society deemed necessary. What was a man? What was the definition? Today, I'm happy to say it can be whatever you want it to be, but you have to make the decision. You indicated earlier as we were kind of listing things down that we need to quit thinking, get out of our own head. The first thing you need to quit is quit caring about what other people think about you. Quit caring about what, if they judge you about the clothes you wear, the car you drive, where your kids go to school, and what you do or don't do on your weekends. It does not matter. Don't. And if you're going to live your life trying to please people that you'll never meet and never speak to, you're going to have a life full of regret. Mm-hmm. Being a man today is what you have to decide. Myself, I was always the breadwinner in my family. My wife, of course, worked, but I always brought the lion's share of the money home. March 16th, 2020, that no longer became reality. I became a caregiver, an administrator, a teacher. That's what I became. That was my daily life. Now, was I an absent father or husband before that? Of course not. But it wasn't my primary focus. Now it is. Along, of course, with my coaching business and everything else that it comes with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Reality is, how do you see your life? What do you want to become? Okay. What is a man to you? Is it, coaching your kids' baseball team? Or is it climbing Mount Everest with friends? But we limit ourselves again to go back to number 2, societal norms. Well, now, hey, you better be sitting on that couch Saturday afternoon watching 6 football games, because that's what men do. Is it? No, it's not. It can be. Okay. If you want to spend your time that way, hey, that's great. If that's your view of what a man is today, okay. But my challenge to those who want to continue to do that is that you can be better. You can have a more fulfilling and rich life if you are more active in it. Okay. It's your relationships. It is listening. It is allowing yourself to be vulnerable to coaching. And I mean coaching not as my profession. I mean just listening to your wife, your friends. Jim, what's wrong? Can I help? And instead of saying, no, Jim, I appreciate that. Nothing's wrong whatsoever. Tell Jim what's wrong. Yeah. Tell him what's wrong. And in that course of action, you will find yourself becoming somebody that you didn't think you could become, or worse or better. you can become somebody that you've always wanted to be and didn't think it was possible.
Mm. I love that. So I love the sort of adjusting that you put at the beginning of that thought, that this day, right now, there is reality to the fact that there are different things expected of us at different points in our lives. And there are different ways that we need to step up or to be or to do. I look at in my own relationship, my husband and I had 7 years together before we had kids. And that was the way we interacted with each other and the things that we expected of each other and the things that we did were different. Our relationship needed different things than when poof, there were kids. And those early years in particular, just watching that. And then as the kids were in elementary school and early in school and couldn't be responsible for their own transportation. And I was growing a business outside the home and I couldn't be relied on for transportation. He was, in addition to a provider, he was also a chauffeur for all that he did. And that was at that moment. And now we've got teenagers who drive themselves, and that chauffeur role is not there anymore, but he is a coach and he is a guide and he also does the dishes, for which I am eternally grateful. If he cooks, he does the dishes. If I cook, he does the dishes. But at this moment in his life, the stage, like the thing that is needed. I love your point about what is it to be a man today, because today it's something different, and it's setting a different kind of relationship with the kids and with me. And I know when they move off and they go off to college, it's going to be something else as well. And with our parents who are not getting younger, how do we interact with them, and what does it mean to be their kids, or to be for me to be a woman for them, for him to be a man for them? What does that look like? I love your reality that it's stopping and thinking about, what is it today? What is it at this point in my life?
Right. Well, and I think it's safe to say that, no time in our lives has change been so evident. We've all been affected. People that you will never meet and know across the globe are experiencing the same thing you're experiencing.
Yep.
with the pandemic. Okay. We can take and look at this moment in time and go, okay, I want to lock myself in the house and I don't know what to do. And I'm not saying that's wrong. Okay. But look at the opportunity that you have today, that in the worst times in our history, there was still opportunity to be better, to make things better, make the world better, to make ourselves better. Okay. Look at the opportunity now.
Yeah.
That's what you have. Time, your greatest commodity. You have it now. It's not guaranteed tomorrow or the next day. Okay. Far wiser men than I have said that before, but it doesn't make it any less true. Okay.
So that's going to tie us into the fourth point that you so what is it to be a man today was the third one, but now let's get to the fourth one, which is, how can men be better? How can they become better? And I think we're dabbling into that. We're moving into that really quickly. So let me just let you take it away. How can men become better today?
This is a great one. I have 2 words. Be present. Be present in your own life. As a man, I understand what the pressures it is to provide for a family, to work at a job that you don't like, to have stresses and concerns and come home and want to talk about that, and you don't talk about it because everybody else has had a bad day, so you shove it aside. We're all great about packing our own bags. Now, that could be a little tiny bag, it could be 6 steamer trunks, but we all pack them. All right, be present in your life. Yes, work is a part of it. Yes, being a provider is important, but it's also important to sit down your kids and go, you know what? How was your day? What did you do today? Tell me the most exciting thing in your day today. Dad wants to know. Okay. Kids are wise. They'll know if you're dialed out or not, or you're dialed in. Your wife will know too. And you have to become better. So one of the key questions I ask men in our encounters is, so what's your diet? And guys go, oh, I should eat better. Oh my gosh, I love the cheeseburgers. I love the bacon cheeseburgers. I love the, the Emmenecker, and I love this and I love that. And it's great. It's great. Yeah. Okay. So you didn't answer my question. Well, yeah, it's my diet. Your diet is everything that you consume. That is all the audio, the music, the podcast, the videos, whether it be the Chiefs going to go to the Super Bowl or something you don't want to talk about to your friends. Okay. The newspapers and magazines you read, all of that is your diet. You eat a lot of junk. How do you feel? Like junk? That goes all the way out to the media and everything that we consume. You consume 6 hours of Netflix on a Saturday afternoon, you're going to feel like junk. I don't care how great a show that is. Okay. You're going to feel like garbage. And what's worse, the people that need you to be present also feel like garbage, because it's more important to sit down than to spend time with them. That's how you become better. Be present. And when you are, you'll find ways will just appear like, wow, I need to teach my daughter how to drive. She needs me to teach her to do that. Teach your children how to do something. Don't do it for them. Show them and then hold them accountable. You talked about your husband and you guys do the dishes and you go back and forth. My wife and I don't do dishes. Our children do them.
Nice.
Okay, those are your chores. That's what you have to do. Well, Dad, I had a long day. So did I. Do your chores.
Right.
Okay. Every week there are chores. Okay. I'm not doing it for you.
Nope.
You come to my house, my oldest daughter could fix you a 7-course breakfast, guaranteed.
Nice.
Why we enjoyed coffee, because she can do it. And that's just one of those joys. If you are a parent or going to become a parent, that is one of the most important jobs in your life. You are in charge and directing another life in the world. Okay. They will become part of you, whether you want them to or not, they will. Okay. Wouldn't you rather have a say? Yeah. Be impactful, be purposeful in how you live your life, and people will be better because of it.
You bet. So thinking about also in the workplace and the being present in the workplace, part of our commitment as an organization is to help people have better work days. And certainly if your life is more stable and your family life and your home life is more comfortable, you'll be better at work. And I think they go hand in hand. If you have a better work day, you can also bring less noise home to your family. But thinking about that being present, that applies at work just as much for your team, for your colleagues, for your leader. If you are a leader, for those who work with you, that ability to put your phone down, to be present in that moment is so, so critical. And I love that. How can men become better? I don't care where you are, or what you're doing, and men and women, we can all get better at be present.
You're absolutely right. If you have a great day at work, chances are you're going to be home, you're going to come home and have a great evening. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. Okay. And the one thing I would say to that, with men or women, if you're not happy in what you're doing, I understand that. Why do you work? People are like, oh man, I got to make money. Okay. That's just a byproduct of what you do. Okay. So set money aside. You don't want money. That's not, you want money because money is required. Set that aside. What do you get out of your job? What do you get out of work? I understand we all have to work. It's important. Okay. We have to have purpose and a drive, and we have to, and lead and feel like we're contributing to society. Mm-hmm. But if you don't like what you're doing, figure out why. Okay. Again, that's being purposeful, and that's being present in your own life. Be honest with yourself. The easiest lie you will ever tell is the one you tell to yourself. I'm fine. It's okay. I don't feel that bad. I'm sure she didn't mean it. When you feel opposite. If you don't like something, figure out a way to change it. You may not be able to change it today, tomorrow. It could take a little while to do that. Find that next job or career, but be truthful with yourself. Mm-hmm. and be honest, because you're not the only one suffering at work. It's your colleagues. It's your boss. If you're the boss, your employees are suffering because you're not 100% vested in the game. They're counting on you. Life's too short to do a bad job. Okay. Do something we teach our kids. I don't want you to roll out of bed. I want you to jump out of bed when you get a job.
Yep.
I want you to be so darn excited, and I don't care what you go do. I truly don't. But just live life at full volume.
Yep. So. Love it. Just the other day was my family members sent a text saying it was National Have Fun at Work Day. And as I thought about it, I'm like, I am not even going to acknowledge and celebrate this as a day, because I believe every day should be Have Fun at Work Day. Shoot, I'm not going to limit that to once a year. No, every day should be have fun. I love that. All right, we're running out of time. Let me get us to that last point that you had. So we're talking about the 5 realities of a man's life and the positive ways to live at full volume. We got to get over that men's key hurdle, which is not asking for help. We've got to sort of let go of those societal norms, and that everything we're being told isn't necessarily true. We've got to really figure out what matters to us. To what is it to be a man today, figuring out what it is today, right now, this day. What is it that you are supposed to be? How can men become better? You had a thought around being present and purposeful there. And then the last one was a company you keep. Why who you walk with makes all the difference. Let's talk about that one a little bit, Matt.
So it goes along a little bit with the diet I mentioned before. As I mentioned in our conversation before we started today, that everyone walks a path, and we have to decide who walks it with us. Some people we walk with, we don't want to be walking with. and we don't acknowledge that, it's a drain on us. Okay. Some people are telling us things that aren't true about ourselves, that just are not the best influence in our lives. Like media and food influence the way we feel. The people we walk with, talk to, have friends with, have relationships with, also, make the difference on how you feel. The bold statement I would share is that anyone that isn't contributing something to your life in a positive way, set them free. And in turn, set yourself free. And I do mean family as well. It's hard, I know, and it's a hard statement, okay? But it's the truth. It is your life to live. You are here for a purpose and a reason. Everyone on earth is here to do it. It's up to us to choose what that purpose is. And if you don't have the best possible team around you to live your life, they elevate you and you elevate them around you, then you will not succeed, regardless of what your view of success is. It will not happen. It will not.
Yep.
Be that positive force in other people's lives and allow people to do the same to you. And if they are not, it's time to part ways.
I read somewhere along the line that we become an average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And that sort of makes you stop and pause and go, well, wow, who am I surrounding myself? And do I want to become an average of them? And I love your point about a way to examine that is to find out, are we elevating each other? Are we lifting each other up? Are we inspiring and encouraging and feeding each other a good diet?
We can't sit on the sidelines of life. Sooner or later, it's the big game, and you have to find, are you the quarterback? Are you the lineman? Or what are you? You have to decide what part of the game that you're going to play and what the outcome of that game is going to be. You get to decide. Don't let society or people that have negative thoughts and feelings project on you. This summer, in the midst of looking at who I was as a person now and who I wanted to become, I purged over 500 people out of my Facebook. Purged it completely. I mean, not like secretly. I mean, I unfriended you because you weren't positively contributing to my life. You weren't, you were, it's bad thoughts, it's negativity, it's all these things that seep in. The hard part about it is it's subtle. It's subtle, the negativity that slides in. It doesn't hit you in the head with a hammer. It slides in quietly. And then all of a sudden, you're talking that way and you feel that way and you wake up and go, why am I so bitter? Why am I talking like that? That's not who I am. How'd this happen?
Yep.
And it all goes back to the other things we spoke about. So walk with good people.
You bet. Well, in the interest of time, Matt, I'm going to get close to wrapping us up here. This has been really fascinating. And I know that of our listeners, we've got some who are going to want to follow up with you. We'll have them reach out to your Clear Next Step if they want to follow up with you. And is there another way to reach out to you, Matt? Is there another way that you want people to reach out besides coming through us at your Clear Next Step?
Absolutely. Well, certainly with Clear Next Step, my information will be there. You want to check out my website, mattjkiernan.com. A lot of information about more about who I am, my background, certainly what I offer. I also have a Facebook business page, Matt J. Kieran, so you can follow me there. I hope if you are interested, my cell phone's there as well. If you'd like to have a conversation just about life in general, give me a call and we'll chat and see what we can do. So.
Outstanding. Thank you. Well, and this is the Even Better podcast. So I got to ask you my question that I ask every guest. What's making you even better these days, Matt?
Sure. I'm going to go back to number 5, the company I keep. So when I became a coach, I found myself in a new circle. So what I've been doing to make myself better is I've been surrounding myself with other coaches. I find myself being coached by them. I'm helping coach them, and we're all elevating and lifting each other up and helping them and each other help more people. And I feel so very satisfied by the groups of people I've been working with. I'm actually with a coaches group now that coaches groups across the globe. I was on a call yesterday with 125 coaches from 25 different countries. And we're all just, and we were in small groups and all these sorts of things too. And this is a thing I'm kind of consistently with right now. And it's fascinating to learn from all these people I would never have met. And now I get to interact with on a weekly basis. that's elevating me. And I hope in my way I can help elevate them. But that's what makes me even better now.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for your time. It's been such a joy to visit with you today.
Sinikka, a real pleasure. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining in. We were glad to have you here. We were talking with Matt Kieran on the 5 realities of man's life and positive ways to live life at full volume. On behalf of all of us here at Your Clear Next Step, we are wishing you a wonderful day. Here's hoping that your workday gets even better.
Thank you for tuning in today. The Even Better podcast will be back with more content soon. But in the meantime, subscribe to our podcast or check out our website at yourclearnextstep.com for more information. See you next episode.